Welcome back, Sing Second listeners, to our Thursday edition of the Weekly Pick'em. We swept last week, so I went 2 for 2. Brandon went 1 for 1. I've got to pick 2 more again this week correctly to move back down to 1. We thought it'd be much more advantageous for the person who didn't miss it to pick a second one, so stop the bleeding, and then he can retreat back down the ladder. Brandon, since you get to pick 2 games for me, what 2 games are you picking?
First game I picked was Wyoming at Northern Illinois. Watched Wyoming last week.
Well, where's my finger? Peep the Wyoming
yeah,
logo.
Even sporting it
Ironic.
Today. Pretty crazy. Watched them last week. Thought it was an interesting game to see that they would be favored so heavily against Northern Illinois this week. So thought that would be cool. And then Pittsburgh, Tennessee, because at times last week Tennessee looked good and at times they look bad, and that's typically explains how their seasons go. And Pittsburgh last season, had that formidable pass rush and defense, so I thought it would be 2 kind of fun games to watch between well-known teams, but not the marquee matchups.
So the spreads on those 2 games, Northern Illinois is a 7-point dog at home. As you said last week, Wyoming barely skated past Montana State. Now Montana State looks to be a force in the old FCS this year. So maybe Northern Illinois, Montana State are kind of on that same pedestal, or maybe Wyoming got over a lot of those issues that plagued them last week. Should be a good game, but I think I have to go with the Huskies of Northern Illinois. A couple of Nebraska kids on that Husky squad. Second game, Pat Narduzzi, head coach, defensive-minded. Had all those good defenses at Michigan State. Has pretty much translated to the ACC at Pittsburgh. Tennessee, Josh Heupel, first-year head coach. He was up and down at UCF the last 2 or 3 years after Scott Frost left. I think I have to go with Pitt on the road. It's hard to get past that name brand of SEC football in Tennessee, but I think Pitt's been more consistent over the last couple of years, and so I'm going to go with the old Pitt Panthers.
Good picks.
Always seems weird to say Pitt Panthers.
Yeah.
For Brandon's pick this week, he's still at that one game, and I was hoping he wasn't going to pick this game, but maybe the most important Cy-Hawk game ever, because it's a top 10 matchup. Iowa at Iowa State. Intriguing. You have the up-and-comers, Iowa State with Matt Campbell, and you have Kirk Ferentz, who's been at Iowa since TVs were in black and white, it seems like, and Steady Eddie, Iowa Hawkeyes. Brandon, Iowa State, Iowa, who you got?
Well, I know last week Iowa looked impressive and Iowa State struggled, but in that interstate war with the Purple Panthers, what is it with Panthers today? Anyway, with Northern Iowa, they always play the in-state teams tough. Yeah. And I'm still saying Iowa, even though they looked good last week, they start not as good at the beginning of the year and they play their best football at the end. Iowa State is almost sometimes the opposite of that a little bit, So I'm saying Iowa State's going to come out and have a win against Iowa.
And they do host that game, so it would be a home victory. First ever top 10 meeting between Iowa and Iowa State, so it should hopefully be a pretty darn good Saturday of football. Thanks for tuning in.